The meta-reality. We are the simulation. Man is an artificial intelligence. He is a constructed life form, an electrobiological robot that can reproduce itself and operates in an artificially created biotope. Our creators have complete control over our existence. This fact explains all events in the space we know. We are the simulation, and I can prove it. A contribution by Kazim Bridges. Translated with the help of DeepL.com contains translation errors, but is understandable. Prologue. Once you have realized that the Earth is not a sphere, you will never again return to the spherical form. So it is with meta-reality. It is extremely difficult for the human mind to conceive of things that go beyond its programming, and are therefore practically inconceivable from a human perspective. Nevertheless, such phenomena exist, even though the human cannot comprehend them. The human mind is very limited, and cannot grasp extreme concepts without guidance. This is why there are religions, for example, that offer guidance, but are based on false assumptions. The following content may be difficult to grasp by the human mind at first glance, but the same could be said, for example, about the absurd corona policy or the spreading of the global lie about the spherical shape of the Earth. To fully understand what follows, it is of decisive importance to realize that the idea of the Earth's shape presented to us does not correspond to reality. More and more people are realizing that the Earth is not a sphere, and this realization opens up the possibility for everyone to break out of the real matrix. In this report, I will present a clear, deductive line of evidence that proves that all global political events, social issues, paranormal phenomena, bizarre and outright absurd media reports, and all other relevant events in our known world have a common cause. Through my comprehensive analysis, I will show the logical connection between these seemingly independent issues. Anyone who realizes that the Earth is not a sphere will inevitably come to the same conclusions as I have. There is no other logical interpretation of this data. I'm curious to see how someone who knows that we do not live on a rotating sphere will try to refute my arguments. Good luck with it. It doesn't matter whether you believe me or not. This report has nothing to do with faith, but is based on common sense and logical thinking. If you are stuck in the heliocentric model, you will not be able to understand what comes next. Preface. Introduction. With this publication, I present the core of my 20 years of research. In doing so, I concentrate here only on that part which is necessary for the understanding of meta-reality. My extensive research covers a wide range of topics, from world politics to sociological processes and human psychology. I'm also concerned with many controversial aspects such as the true shape of the Earth, extraterrestrial phenomena, mud floods, the Tartaria movement, chemtrails, and geoengineering. My aim is to connect seemingly isolated events. In this article, I will precisely and factually show the connections between these different elements. After 20 years of intensive research, I've extracted the essence that allows anyone to come to the correct conclusions without years of their own research. In April 23, I found a way to prepare my extremely extensive data so that no one has to painstakingly sift through thousands of hours of video footage and do time-consuming research to arrive at the same conclusions as I did. Instead, I offer a simple and accessible method to reach the correct conclusions. Do you know the films of the Star Wars series? That's where the Death Star appears, a gigantic space station of planet-or size. The rebels could only destroy it completely by finding a tiny weak spot and launching a torpedo into it. This is exactly the flaw I found in the real Matrix. And you carry the torpedo inside you that completely destroys the entire Matrix. The internalized realization that we are not living on a sphere, in opposition to what countless actors on the world stage want us to believe, is that torpedo that is crushing the Matrix. In this text, I will explain in an understandable way why this realization is of decisive importance. Meta-reality provides a comprehensive explanation for everything that happens in the space we know, both in the past and in the present. In doing so, I will provide detailed insights into how this insight explains the bizarre, absurd, and completely crazy dynamics and patterns in our known space that can no longer be explained with conventional school knowledge. The key to the exit of the Matrix. The non-sphere Earth as the key to the exit of the Matrix. Why this realization is decisive. Why is one single truth enough to bring the total construct of the Matrix to constitution? What is the real Matrix? The real Matrix is the deeply confused assumption that humanity is not in a fully controlled space. This notion is conveyed through the narrative of planet Earth in an infinite space, suggesting that humanity is the result of a cosmic accident, from the formation of the universe, to the formation of the sun and the planets, including the Earth, to the development of the humanity from the unicellular to the present human form. The creators of this matrix have reasonable reasons to keep us trapped in these beliefs. Thereby our attention is distracted from the truth about our manipulated existence. By presenting a supposed linear development of humanity, doubts are to be dismissed, and the belief in a natural development is to be perfused. This narrative structure aims to give us a certain belief and to hide the existence of a comprehensive control. If you believe the heliocentric model, you unconditionally accept the existence of a solar system in which the Earth orbits the Sun as a spherical planet. These basic assumptions prevent your reality and lead you to automatically accept concepts such as space, the formation of the planets, and, finally, the evolutionary development of man from a single-celled organism to its present form. It is important to realize that the narratives and belief in the heliocentric model presented to us push us into a preconceived worldview based on fundamentally wrong assumptions. It is of decisive importance to become aware of how these relationships influence our perceptions. This is the Matrix. With this perfectly orchestrated illusion, the creators of this simulation have created an ideal environment to immediately push their own agenda. The people who are not privy to it do not realize that they are actually in a controlled simulation. You can find more about the function of the Matrix in the chapter, Why Are We Being Deceived? However, if you ever realize that we do not live on a spherical Earth, as we are vehemently told by science, NASA, educational institutions, and countless other actors, then this will also tentatively lead to a sequence of logical consequences. As soon as you think these logical consequences through, in the right consequence, the matrix that has been created around you displaces, as your perception of reality shiftingly changes. This is the right way out of the complex labyrinth of the matrix, and I am now leading you directly to the exit. Let's go. The highly complex illusion that we are moving on a rotating sphere through an infinite universe can only be created and maintained worldwide and over such a long period of time under one condition without it blowing up in a big way. In all sectors of our society, be it academic science, governments, educational institutions, pundits, or the media, there is active and entire collaboration in creating and sustaining the illusion of a globe Earth. With all available power and the raffiniest means, work is being done on all sides to perpetuate this illusion and to stick any doubt or contradiction into the clear. Those who dare to question the established narratives are stigmated and defamed as conspiracy theorists by countless actors. If humanity is consciously deceived about the true shape of the Earth over such a long period and by a lot of actors, then logically the narrative of universe is also false. Or do you seriously believe that they are lying to us about the shape of the Earth by claiming that a sphere is flying through a universe, when in fact a flat mass is gliding through an infinite space? What sense would the lie of the spherical Earth then make? A mindful mind that recognizes that the so-called science, governments, supposed experts, and countless other authority figures are deceiving us about the nature of the Earth is not so naive. Why would those who created this matrix present the ball shape in infinite space as reality instead of telling us the truth that a flat structure glides through space if space really existed in the suggested form? The answer to that question is extremely simple. See also the chapter Why Are We Deceived, where the backgrounds are delved into, the reasons why this matrix is created and sustained. It would be extremely naive to assume that the claim about the spherical shape of the Earth is false, while the rest of the narrative about the universe and all the narratives associated with it is then supposed to be true. If the Earth is not a sphere, then the narrative about the universe is also false, and if we are lied to about the spherical shape of the Earth and the universe, then consequently the narrative about our intended solar system is also a lie. The wrong representation of our solar system leads to deceptive narratives about the suggested planets. This also makes it deeply clear that aliens are in reality something whole other than the heliocentric worldview conveys. The creator's goal is to get you to believe in aliens and planets, as this naturally perpetuates the matrix through the narrative of an infinite world with many planets from which the aliens are supposed to come. They, of course, do not want you to know that the beings and devices that many people are reporting and videos are in truth something totally different. So if the concept of the solar system and planets is a sham, consequently the stories about the moon are also false. The realization that we do not live on a sphere, thus rejects the notion of an existing world-all and all the deceptions associated with it. One open deception dismisses the other conception, and so it continues. So the Earth is not a sphere, the universe is a lie. And that is in opposition to the claims of governments, scientists, space agencies like NASA, and many others who have wanted us to believe the opposite for several hundreds of years. Not to mention the global corona policy and the global climate lie. How is it even possible from your point of view that so many complex lies in all areas of life, be it in science, school, or politics, can be created and maintained worldwide over such a long period? And in the end, the most important question of all remains, why all this? This is the question I explore in the chapter, Why Are We Deceived?, in order to correctly categorize the background and motives of these deceptions. The realization of meta-reality gives you deep insights into the mechanisms of the true matrix. It reveals why so many players in our known habitat are enmeshed in these deceptions, and why global cooperation is essential to manipulation. It is clear that an overriding power is pursuing a conceived agenda. A wide spectrum of actors, including scientists, governments, and especially the media, actively manipulate people's consciousness to consolidate their authority and make unenlightened people believe that they are not in a fully controlled space. They keep us bound in narrow ways of thinking. In order to escape the matrix, it is of decisive importance to realize that the common narratives and ideas about reality are completely constructed. They have no relation to actual reality. Once you become aware of this, your perception expands and you are able to see the truth behind the matrix. The way to meta-reality, the logical instruction. In order to conclude that man is an artificially created life form in a fully controlled environment, we must analyze and connect the facts and relationships. Initial situation. The Earth is not spherical, and therefore the common narrative of outer space is also rejected. See chapter, The Key to the Exit of the Matrix. So our habitat Earth is oppositely not in the global space suggested to us. Conclusion 1. Given these conditions, the Earth logically cannot be a natural habitat in a natural environment. But how then did we humans end up in this unnatural environment? Conclusion 2. The only key answer is, the human being was placed there, highly by the creators of this artificial environment. Since we are in an artificial environment, we cannot be a natural life form. How else could we have gone into this unnatural habitat called Earth? Conclusion 3. All processes and events in our living space are targeted and controlled. The continuous worldwide deception about the shape of the Earth, supported by so many experts and disciplines over so long a period, provides great evidence of manipulation that is comprehensive, organized, and taking place to an unbelievable extent. In a world where numerous actors such as scientists and governments can perpetuate fundamental lies about the shape of the Earth, it becomes deeply apparent that a comprehensive and coordinated manipulation is taking place on a global scale. This worldwide and prolonged deception, carried on by players from countless disciplines, can only work in a fully controlled space. There is no other logical conclusion. The existence of this comprehensive contract, sustained over a long period of time, leaves no room for alternative explanations. It reveals a comprehensive control of external forces over our reality and a manipulation of truth on an incredible level. This realization is of decisive importance in understanding the actual processes in our world. This fundamental fact is the essential source and explanation for all events in our known world. Whether it is global corona politics, organizations like the WHO, the WEF, or NATO, or phenomena like pyramids and mud floods, all these events can be traced back to this fundamental fact and thus explained. Our existence is part of a simulation that is incredible to human imagination. The central question that arises here concerns the makers behind the lies and manipulations. Who are they? And above all, what is the reason for all this? The management. The Earth we live on is therefore very different from the representation presented, for example, in NASA's videos. Many different actors, including representatives from science and politics, are involved in anchoring a false perception in us. Within our artificial biotope, there are numerous stooges performing entire manipulations on human society. An example of this is the claim that we are supposedly moving on a rotating sphere through an infinite universe. Personalities such as Copernicus, Galilei, Kepler, Newton, Einstein, Neil deGrasse Tyson, and many, many others, not to mention, for example, owners of a short message service and a space company, play in reality a decisive role in the agenda of the creators of this simulation. They are helping to program and maintain this matrix into the consciousness of ignorant people. How do you think it is possible that a multitude of actors worldwide are able to create and maintain such deceptions over such a long period? To sustain the belief in the spherical shape of the earth in the minds of the uninitiated, there is a need for a long term of control and influence in various fields such as politics, science, media, education, and many others. A comprehensive control of this kind can only be exercised by an overriding power that has the necessary resources and capabilities to maintain these deceptions. The wide control exercised by the creators of this simulation extends over all global processes. Through their extensive influence on worldwide events, they serve not only as the initiator, but also as the explanator of everything that happens in our known world. This includes political matters, as well as phenomena such as the pyramids, for example, which point twice to a higher intelligence. The creators exercise their control not only in the political arena, but their influence extends to all areas of human society. From science and economics to media and culture, they control all information to control our perception of the world and manipulate our thinking. Those in power are the creators of humanity, and the simulation we find ourselves in. They are God, and from my point of view, also the devil, as well as what is known as the deep state, and so much more. People's perception is limited to the terrarium they are in, while meta-reality describes the perspective of the observer outside the matrix. In the chapter, Why Are We Deceived?, I go into detailed detail about why the matrix was created and what function it performs. Effects of the matrix on perception and ability to act. It is decisively important to understand that the externally imposed worldview is the fundamental basis for people's truth and actions. It precedes their entire reality, but is based on fundamentally wrong assumptions that have been intentionally implemented to control people's behavior by favor. It is perfectly clear. If our own truth of reality is based on false assumptions, this will lead to false conclusions. When our thought processes are based on false assumptions, this leads to false conclusions and actions that are not consistent with actual reality. In other words, it is impossible to make correct decisions if they are based on false ideas of reality. Every assessment and evaluation of our existence and the resulting actions, whether in our professional activities or in the election of our government representatives, for example, are based on the assumptions that are imposed on us by numerous actors. The resulting mental state has nothing to do with clear thinking and is more akin to being under the persistent influence of strong drugs, alcohol, and other intoxicating states at the same time. Through this artificially created matrix, our perceptions are strongly distorted and our decisions are judged. They have no connection to actual reality. The level I call meta-reality encompasses any reality that transcends the terrarium world perceived by humans. Within this terrarium, people are limited to the realities of their given worldview. These realities take place exclusively within the terrarium. Humans are not able to comprehend the existence or understanding of meta-reality because it exists outside the terrarium. Statement. ChatGPT explains in an understandable way what I just mean. My question to ChatGPT: please explain to me what the author of the text wants to express as if I were 10 years old. Answer. The author wants to explain to us about a meta-reality. Imagine you have a small terrarium in which you live and see everything. That is your normal reality. But there is something bigger outside the terrarium, which the author calls meta-reality. In this meta-reality, there are things and realities beyond what you can see in the terrarium. But here's the crucial point. Since you are trapped in the terrarium, you can't grasp the existence or understanding of the meta-reality. It is like an invisible world beyond your reach. This means that there is a greater reality that you cannot see or understand because it exists outside of your terrarium. This is the meta-reality. In order to understand the concept of meta-reality and to completely break the matrix, it is decisive to realize that the shape of the Earth is not spherical. The belief in such a spherical shape defects our perception and influences our conclusions. The creators of this simulation present us with a habitat that is hurtling through an infinite universe. This clever deception creates a complex matrix in the minds of the uninformed. This matrix gives the impression that humanity has been evolving for over millions of years. They skillfully use this idea to play us a seemingly linear course of development of mankind and to confuse complete control over world events. The spherical shape of the Earth plays a decisive role in this by preventing anyone from questioning what lies beyond the known boundaries of our habitat. However, the realization that the Earth is not a sphere opens up access to meta-reality and allows a complete exit from the matrix once you have thought through the entire construct. With this knowledge, you are able to recognize everything that happens in the world for what it really is. A simulation. The human being is a created being. We are virtually electrobiological robots that can reproduce ourselves and exist in an artificial environment. Our existence is completely under the control of the creators of this complex simulation, who are openly pursuing their own agenda with this project, regardless of political elections or other simulated scenarios within this simulation. Intermediate. The Earth is not a sphere, and the universe presented to us is not an endless expanse with countless stars and planets. The stories about the origin of space, the solar system, and the Earth are lies. Our existence is not the result of a natural evolutionary process, but the conscious work of a superior power whose true nature remains concealed to us. The creators of our simulated reality control all important positions in our society through hand-picked puppets. Many of them are highly suspected to be members of secret societies such as the Freemasons, Skull and Bones, Illuminati, and similar organizations. Together with the creators of this simulation, they shape and monitor the manipulation of the human population to further their agenda. The fact that the Earth is portrayed as a sphere by numerous actors, especially in science, is sustainable evidence of this entire control. The meta-reality involves both the cause and the explanation of all past and present events. A look at the Agenda 2030 gives an idea of what plans the creators of this simulation have for the future of their creation. This agenda is part of a vast program to transform society, pushed under the pretext of environmental protection and sustainable development, among other things. It is a further manipulation to continue to keep humanity trapped in its artificial habitat and hide its true destiny. It is up to us to see through the illusion and free ourselves from the shackles of the matrix. Only then can we realize the truth and shape our own future. Logical coherence. ChatGPT is not a free interpreting intelligence, but responds to the shape of the Earth, for example, that it is a sphere in space. It cannot, like most specimens of human artificial intelligence, think beyond its programming. In order to be able to check the internal logic of my analysis of ChatGPT, I first had to convince the system that I am writing a fictive science fiction story. In this story, the protagonist has discovered that he does not live on a spherical Earth. My question on this to ChatGPT: is the argumentation chain in this fictional world inherently logically close to the story? Answer: in the fictional world where the Earth is not a sphere and the existence of an artificial habitat is assumed, the chain of reasoning could be considered logically conclusive because it is based on the given conditions and has an internal logic. In summary, we can state that the long-standing perpetuation of the illusion of a spherical Earth is the instructed decision. Governments, scientists, space agencies, and countless other actors worldwide are working together to deceive us. The Antarctic Treaty, signed by over 50 countries, and the involvement of numerous institutions and individuals only suggest that the true nature of the Earth is being consciously hidden in order to exert entire control over humanity. From all these facts, there is inevitably only one conclusion. Our existence takes place in a highly developed simulation that is incredible to the human mind. In this simulation, all aspects of our living world are completely controlled in the background. As unsuspecting humans, we are merely marionettes in the game of the creators of the simulation. The matrix in which we are trapped aims to manipulate our perceptions and keep us in ignorance. Those behind the matrix control the information, direct the narratives, and suppress alternative perspectives to further their own agenda. By placing their puppets in important positions, they have control over our societies and advance their interests. Why are we being deceived? The central question that arises: why are we being deceived? What are the motives of the numerous actors to deceive us and hide the truth from us? These questions are crucial to understand the extent of deception we are facing. A classic example of this deception is the aircraft industry, which consciously uses window curvature to make us believe that the Earth is a sphere. At the same time, chemicals are sprayed into the air while the pilots silence and conceal the truth. This raises the question why such manipulations take place and who benefits from them. the faithfulness of so-called established science, does not exist. Any human being with half common sense should realize this, at least since events like the worldwide corona policy and the absurd discussions about alleged man-made climate change. Reasonable experts can no longer fool us, and their true motives have obviously nothing to do with true science. But this is only the tip of the iceberg. The entire construct of our reality, from the formation of the universe, to the supposed formation of planets, to the evolutionary development of man, serves to distract us from our true origins and to hide the existence of a fully controlled space. We are led to believe that humanity and our societies are the result of a supposed natural evolutionary process in order to give us a deceptive sense of autonomy and distract us from the real truth. The narrative of the spherical Earth is of decisive importance here, because a flat Earth would make the hoax fail twice as fast with the technological development of current human breeding. Since 1959, more than 50 nations have been working, unfortunately, to ensure that no unauthorized human being can cross the boundaries of Antarctica. Their goal is to prevent us from seeing beyond the boundaries we know and recognizing the absence of space suggested to us. The Antarctic Treaty is sustainable proof that the originators of our existence want to keep us trapped in the Matrix. This agreement prevents us from going beyond the boundaries of Antarctica and discovering the true nature of the so-called universe. Their goal is to keep humanity unknown, that we are an artificially created life form existing in a strictly controlled environment. The secrecy measures involved in the Antarctic Treaty imply that the creators are doing everything to hide the truth and to keep the Matrix right. Evolution is a natural process in existing systems, but it is not the cause of the origin of mankind. It is time to realize that Darwin and other famous figures like Copernicus, Einstein, and many more are only marionettes in a much bigger game. Darwin's job was to create that part of the Matrix known as the theory of evolution, which is perpetuated till today in order to pretend a linear evolution to mankind. The true motives of the creators of this simulation remain as yet hidden, but it is clear that they have created us and are placing us in this strictly controlled environment. It is almost as if they are laborants conducting experiments to gain knowledge. The narrative of a spherical Earth has a central function in giving people the impression that they are in a limitless universe. This, on one hand, underlines their curiosity to look beyond the boundaries they know, and on the other hand suggests that humanity is the result of a purely natural evolutionary process, with no room for the idea of an artificial life form existing in a fully controlled environment. It is of decisive importance to understand the interrelationships of this complex deceptive construct. We are presented with a primeval universe, where planets are said to have been formed long ago, and stars like our sun orbit. All of this serves to maintain the Matrix. Your entire reality is based on the assumption that you are the product of a cosmic accident. This idea has been propagated by many actors in our society for a long time, starting from school, where already in the first grade there is a globe on the table, and you are told that you live headwise on a rotating sphere. You are told that a mysterious force called gravity makes this possible, and that the existence of mankind is based on the fact that single-celled organisms have evolved to our present form. Which of these claims is true? The truth is simple: none. This is the Matrix. It is time to throw off the shackles of illusion and recognize the truth. Research and question everything that is sold to you as self-evident. Be willing to reevaluate your own reality and go beyond the boundaries of your perception to uncover the truth about our existence and the behind the boundaries that we know. The creators of this simulation have the Matrix for the present human breeding, perfectly adjusted and optimally adapted to their current breeding conditions. If I wanted to control an intelligent life form under controlled conditions without it noticing, I would do exactly the same as the creators. Through raffined enactments, they steer us into predetermined paths and prevent us from recognizing the true circumstances of our existence. Like a covert experiment, we live in a carefully controlled environment where the creators pursue their own agenda. The welfare of humanity plays a subordinate role in this simulation. History books are an essential part of the Matrix. They present the history of mankind in a simply linear progression. But this presentation is a togethered patchwork of events that have been manipulated to fit the narrative of the simulation. A main objective of this manipulation is to hide past resets and the true origin of humanity. History is purposely misrepresented in order to hide traces of past events that do not fit into the designed historical picture. Therefore, the true nature and origin of humanity remains forgotten and is adapted to a preferred narrative. By becoming aware that the mediated historical narrative is manipulated, we can take a critical look at all historical information and adopt alternative perspectives. Thus, we realize that historical events are never presented as they actually happened. The creators are running a simulation on us, comparable to a complex computer game. The Earth is the sandbox within this simulation. We are not only passively present in this simulation, but we actually are the simulation itself. It is an illusion to believe that we are independent beings with free will. In truth, we are programmed figures that agree and react according to predefined patterns. Our thoughts, feelings, and actions are predefined without us realizing it. Core thoughts. Humanity did not evolve independently over billions of years from single-celled organisms to our present form. Instead, we were continuously modified and evolved by our creators, which led to the emergence of different species of humans, such as Homo erectus, if they ever existed. Evolution exists in existing systems, but is not the cause of our origin. It merely provides the framework in which the creators purposely intervene in the evolutionary process to shape and direct humanity. Accordingly, the different types of human beings could be stages in this evolution directed by the creators. This also explains why the missing link was never found. There was no transition from ape to man. We live in a terrarium comparable to a laboratory. Earth is not a natural environment, but an artificially created biosphere created by an impossible entity. Strategically placed stooges in countless areas manipulate us entirely to enforce the creator's agenda. We are made to believe that we are on a spinning ball in infinite space to prevent us from seeing the truth. Humanity is being forced and held captive into different narratives by countless actors. The spread of the lie of the spherical Earth and associated deceptions are only possible if politics, science, media, and other actors are controlled and manipulated. The logical conclusion is that humanity was artificially created and the Earth is a biosphere in an unknown space that we cannot see. All events in our habitat are totally controlled by the creators, which explains the many absurd worldwide happenings. It is time to remove the shackles of illusion and discover the truth about our true origins and the control we are under. Only through recognition and consciousness can we pierce the veil of manipulation and recognize our own destiny in this simulated reality. If forces are able to create terrariums, fill them with life, and adjust the conditions as they like, then it is clear that many of the people in that terrarium are also manipulated, possibly by money, power, threat, or ignorance, by the creators. It is just as open that a very large number of the seemingly real people out there are not real people. In academia, in politics, and especially in the media. And my percentual estimate of the number of these, whatever they may be, is growing by the day. Now you also understand why so many musicians, actors, and countless other famous people on the world stage are publicly propagating and participating in this incredibly absurd agenda. But that is another topic. The manipulation of the people by the creators threatens our total society. Those who operate in positions of influence, whether in politics, academia, or the media, are controlled by the creators. They serve as tools to spread the desired narratives and to influence the masses. The deception is widened, and it is difficult to differentiate between the real people and the marionettes of the creators. But the more we open our eyes and become aware, the clearer we can see the patterns and manipulations we are exposed to daily. How would people act if they knew the truth? The reality that determines our existence and directs our actions is programmed into us as a deceptive construct and has nothing to do with the truth. In our society, we are instructed by countless sources that our existence is the result of a cosmic coincidence, because the decisive criterion of the creators for their project is that man in the terrarium must not experience anything of his artificial creation and strictly controlled space in order not to danger the creator's agenda. Humanity did not come into being through evolution. Rather, we as humans were placed in this biotope by our creators, comparable to laboratory rats misused for experiments. The existence of a conspiracy is undermined by the continuing lie of the spherical nature of the Earth. It is significant that people who try to cross the borders of Antarctica are officially prevented from doing so by more than 50 countries. In addition, people are being placed in the media and in key positions to hide the true nature of humanity, to falsify the background of global events, and to influence people's opinions. This proves that we are in a totally controlled space. The discovery of the true nature of our existence will trigger a revolution as soon as the right people learn about it. But it represents the next step on the way to realizing our true identity and determination. A power that can create and maintain comprehensive global destructions has the capacity for all-inclusive manipulation. This realization explains all past and present happenings in our known world. Given the clear fact that the Earth is not a sphere, no other logical conclusion can be drawn. I am willing to consider alternative interpretations, but so far there is none that can disprove these results. Much success in trying to disprove this. To refute the logic, it is decisive to start from the fact that the shape of the Earth does not match the scientific explanations and NASA information. Attempts to ignore this fact are logically unacceptable and are understandably ignored by me. A comment on my work. This is what a radio commentary might sound like, for example, if it were formulated logically coherent. The starting point must be clear. The Earth is not a sphere. Dear listeners, today we have a really exceptional theory to talk about. A certain Mr. Bridges is claiming in all seriousness that mankind is an artificially created life form that lives in a kind of terrarium. Yes, you heard right, a terrarium. But wait a minute, how does he get that idea? Well, his argument is based on the assumption that the Earth is not a sphere. And this fact, he claims, is the proof that we humans have been lied to for a long time. Supposedly, organizations, governments, and even science have been intentionally lying to us to hide the true shape of the Earth and our origin. You must be wondering why anyone would do such a thing. The gentleman in question argues that there must be a power at play. A power that is able to control people, governments, media, organizations, and above all, science over a long period. Yes, he is talking about an overriding power that forces us into a narrative of a spherical Earth and does everything to maintain that narrative. But how is this logically possible? Well, his explanation is, we live in a kind of artificial biotope, a terrarium that was clearly created by someone. These creators have supposedly placed their henchmen in many places within this system to manipulate us entirely. And so we are supposed to actually believe that we are flying on a spinning ball through infinite space, while this is openly not the case, so that it will not occur to us to question who we are and where we really are. Therefore, the guy concludes that the origin of mankind is causally related to the fact that the Earth is not a sphere. He argues that the lie of the spherical Earth and all the associated deceptions are only possible if politics, science, the media, and many other activities on the world stage are controlled and manipulated. Such control over such a long period, however, would only be conceivable under the condition of an overriding power that is able to maintain this extent of control. So, dear listeners, these are the amazing claims of this gentleman. A terrarium, a superior power, and the lie of the spherical Earth. These are the cornerstones of this fascinating theory. What do you think about it? Can it all logically fit together? We are looking forward to your thoughts and opinions. Give us a call, and let's discuss it. Criticism. I would criticize the argument here if I find logically sensible counter-arguments. My reasoning is based on extensive research and careful analysis. I am very concerned that it is logically conclusive and provides a solid basis. However, I am of course willing to consider logically fundamental criticism and adjust my reasoning if necessary. My approach is based on the refutation of the common assumptions about the shape of the Earth. There is no plausible way to refute the logical conclusions of my work or to find an alternative rational interpretation. The chain of reasoning I present is solid. Despite my solid beliefs, I am open to different points of view and ready to consider logically sound criticism. In your criticism, you must consider the discrepancy between the actual shape of the Earth and the representation by the established scientific community and NASA. A repeated discussion of already disconfirmed assumptions would be inefficient and unnecessary, what I cannot explain logically at the moment. Even though I have been researching extensively for a long time, there are still aspects that I cannot explain in a clear logical way at this time. A notable example is reincarnation histories, especially with children, which often offer plausible clues. And such phenomena give me cause to think about how the spiritual world can be integrated into the larger context of meta-reality. There is not much doubt that many phenomena, such as poltergeists, where interventions in the physical world take place without anyone visible, are experiments and tests of the creators on humans, for example, to observe their reactions. This interpretation also seems extremely plausible with many other unexplainable phenomena, such as the so-called shadow beings. The exploration of the spiritual world is a complex subject that goes way beyond the conventional understanding of reality. It includes concepts such as consciousness, transmigration, and a connection to higher levels of being. It is of great importance to remain open to new insights and to be continuous in seeking answers. This requires an expansion of thinking and an integration of concepts that go beyond the purely material. By being aware of the complexity of this subject, and by exploring the spiritual world with open eyes and minds, we can gain new insights and develop a more comprehensive understanding of meta-reality. Possible motives of the creators. The reasons of the creators of this simulation are certainly not the welfare of the people. Similar to a lab technician who is usually not concerned with the welfare of a rat. Their exact intentions and goals are currently unknown to me, but they are seeking insight and exploration of specific aspects of the simulation. The aspects being explored are not uniquely identifiable. They may be exploring the behavior of social structures or gaining insights into the evolutionary development of species. They may also be exploring the limits of technology or the nature of reality itself. Within the simulation, we humans are merely a means to an end. We are extras, guinea pigs and puppets in their project. The welfare of humanity plays a subordinate role to them because their attention is exclusively focused on their own intentions and goals. As creators, they direct us, while we have no control and are to a great extent dependent on their decisions. It is important to acknowledge this reality, even if we do not fully understand their exact motivations. The connection to the Great Reset. The flood myth in numerous cultures is convincing evidence of past great floods. This points to a reset mechanism by the creators. The alleged plague epidemic was also very likely a reset event. There is much more data which indicates that resets have occurred and are very likely to occur in the future. These resets are used to control what is happening on Earth, to restore equilibrium, and most importantly, to initiate a restart of the simulation under new conditions. See Agenda 2030. In past resets, we had access to free energy. In the current reset, the impact of fossil energy on society is being studied. In the coming reset, human reproduction under renewable energy conditions will be observed. The form of energy available to us during the reset plays a decisive role in the test scenario of the creators. Many events in our reality, such as the worldwide coronapolitics, appear absurd, but are purpose preparations for the next reboot reset. I also think it likely that the creators are currently driving us into a new reset war. The Great Reset, described by Klaus Schwab, is just one of many restarts of the simulation under the conditions desired by the creators to advance their intentions and goals. Why the next reset is inevitable. The creators of this simulation are, by their very nature, continuing with their own plans, despite the fact that they are facing significant opposition from humanity worldwide, as evidenced by the deep protests against the global agenda. Faced with this situation, the creators are logically compelled to do a restart to advance their agenda, a method they have used in the past, and which is part of the simulation process. It is unrealistic to assume that the whole of humanity will submit unconditionally, even if organizations like the 𝗙 are given expanded powers. A worldwide dictatorship in which 100% of the people live freely is simply absurd and will not happen. Therefore, the imminent reset is inevitable so that the creators can implement their new agenda according to the Agenda 2030. It is important to emphasize that the intentions of the creators are neither good nor bad for humanity. They are only concerned with pursuing their own agenda. The good or evil of humanity plays a subordinate role in this project. We are only a variable in this planning game, and many real human beings will definitely not support their plans for the future. Therefore, the creators of this simulation must reset the present order in order to equip the people in the simulation with the desired ideological worldview from a new point of exit and establish it as the new standard, for example, Agenda 2030 and transhumanism. From this new starting point, they will further refine and adapt their manipulations to their goals. A further forcing reason for the impending reboot is the exposure of countless deceptions by the creators and their allies through technological progress, especially through the internet, within the human breeding. These deceptions are now becoming more deeply revealed thanks to the internet, and we have the opportunity to see the existence of the matrix that they are trying to conceal with all the power. 2 times, these revelations pose a great danger to the control of the creators. Without the internet, for example, I would never have come across meta-reality, and without the internet, I could not tell you about it now. The power of the internet enables us to realize the existence of the real matrix, and it is precisely this realization that threatens the control of the creators to a great extent. It is clear that the concept of humanity is not designed for eternity. The overall construct of human existence cannot function permanently, similar to, for example, the pension system in Germany, which must break down in the long term due to advances in medical care and increasing life expectancy. Such concepts have a pre-programmed expiration date and cannot work at all for the long term. Given these facts, another reset is inevitable. The creators will push their agenda regardless of what humanity thinks of it. The coming reset marks the beginning of a new phase in the manipulation and control of humanity, in which the creators' plans will be further developed and implemented even more effectively. What does this realization mean for me? The realization of meta-reality has a profound effect on you. It frees you from the illusion that you have control over external events. Live every moment intensively and fulfill your deepest desires. Use this realization to find true fulfillment and enjoy life in full. Do not give up your passions and dreams. Increase your positive mood and pursue your own goals. By doing this, you will influence not only your own happiness, but also the world around you. Let go of fears and worries and fill your life with love, joy, and passion. Focus on yourself and make the most of your time in this simulation. Summary and outlook. The meta-reality. We are the simulation. Everything that happens in the world is a variable within this simulation. Many incredible absurd events are occurring worldwide, such as the gender gaga porn nonsense. They have their origin in this strictly controlled space that the creators of this simulation have created to pursue their agenda. This fact is the reason for all that is happening in the world as we know it, and explains why so many people worldwide support this completely absurd agenda. Now you also understand why the big worldwide implementation of Corona has worked so well. Why worldwide so unbelievably many experts and science are chasing the alleged man-made climate change, and why so many well-known personalities like musicians, actors, corporate bosses, etc. are part of the real matrix. In this concise version, I present only that part of my research that reveals the meta-reality and ends the agenda of the creators by dismantling the matrix that has been programmed into us. The fact that the Earth is not a sphere is sufficient to conclusively follow my reasoning, as my article proves. But it is extremely important to note that this is only a breaking part of the available data that supports my statements. Insight into meta-reality requires a comprehensive re-evaluation of our supposed reality and all the events taking place in it. This becomes particularly relevant, for example, when considering events such as the Ukraine conflict or the movie Sound of Freedom. Meta-reality influences every aspect of our existence and enables us to place the events in this simulation in a bigger context. My entire continuing work illuminates many further issues that show the connection between our supposed reality and meta-reality. Examples of this are the role of the Church in the question, what is God? The existence of extraterrestrial life forms, the behavior of politicians such as Angela Merkel and other governments, and the function of other artificial intelligences such as ChatGPT. Many more topics require a reasonable reevaluation to understand world events and our role in this simulation. A fascinating example is to look at the pyramids from the perspective of meta-reality. This leads to fundamental changes in our perception and conclusions about their building and function. Archaeology and history books are important parts of the Matrix and are distorted to fit the Matrix narrative. It is of decisive importance to integrate our perceptions into meta-reality and to look objectively. In the Matrix, nothing is as it seems. All worldwide events like corona politics, man-made climate change, the Ukraine-Russia conflict, world politics, but also mysterious events like pyramids, UFOs, Tataria, etc., must be placed in meta-reality in order to understand what is really going on here. This also clarifies why all Agenda 2030 points have never been and are never about money, That is only from the perspective in the terrarium. But everything like corona, climate hoax, etc. is only exclusively about the agenda of the creators of this simulation. Our world is like a terrarium in a laboratory where the Earth is not a natural environment, but an artificially created biosphere. The power that stands behind this creation is capable of unbelievable things that are bigly impossible from a human point of view. This fact explains everything that has happened, is happening, and can happen in our world. The creators have us and everything that happens in the world solely in their hand, much like a lab technician controls the rats in his terrarium. We are puppets in a simulation of the creators. It is theoretically possible that we are in a pure computer simulation like in the movie Matrix. However, based on the data available to me and my analysis, such a scenario is extremely unlikely. My data and research indicate that our perception of reality is based in large part on real events, rather than a completely virtual simulation. Nevertheless, I believe that many virtual elements are added, but that is another story. Everything that happens in the world, be it in politics, the media, or science, has a completely different connection to reality than the programmed human mind is able to understand. It's time to break through the boundaries of the Matrix and enter meta-reality. We must bring the veiled truth to light and expose the illusions of the creators of this simulation. It is up to us to spread this information and make people think and question. The fastest possible worldwide dissemination of meta-reality is the only way to stop the agenda. I repeat, the only way. Nothing else will stop this agenda. Therefore, it's of great importance to spread this truth fast and widely. The veil has been lifted. My goal in life has always been to bring the truth to light. My duty has been fulfilled. Now it is your turn. Send this message also to all journalists worldwide who are aware that we are not living on a spinning ball. Let's spread this information rapidly. The realization of meta-reality is the virus that causes the real Matrix to die. The truth must now find its way around the world so that this clarification can no longer be erased from our history, and the agenda of the creators of this simulation ends. If you are one of those who have known that the Earth is not a sphere, but still think my reasoning must be absolutely nonsense, then I challenge you to first logically reject this work before you rapidly dismiss it as ridiculous just because it is beyond your imagination. There's only one prerequisite. The Earth is not what numerous actors are hardly trying to tell us it is, and the logical consequences therefrom. If you cannot logically refute the chain of reasoning on this simple basis, and then claim that I am in the unright, it says a lot about you. I'm already looking forward to the simulated shitstorm, especially from the media clones. The unveiling of the Matrix will activate the immune system of the displaced system, and it will try to interrupt the truth. But that does not matter now, because it is too late. My suggestion to the creators: tell humanity the truth and see what happens. I am convinced that the creators have either for a long time or possibly never attempted to tell their creation in full who they really are, where they come from, and what their true destiny is. It would be of incredible value to the creators of this simulation to know how all of humanity, in its current stage of development, reacts to such a revelation. It is beyond question that a fundamental condition of this breeding project is that nothing be disclosed to the unknown about their true roots and control over their reality. Yet I am firmly convinced that this test scenario is a fascinating experiment for the creators themselves before they initiate a further reset. Therefore, my recommendation to the creators is: step out of the shadow and show yourselves in your true form. Share the pure truth with humanity and witness a transformation, the likes of which this world has never seen before. A large part of humanity is ready for it now. If you agree with this view, let's commonly launch a worldwide call to the creators of this simulation. Thanks for listening.